ain't young no more. You don't feel my pain, step in my shoes. These times so hard, what we go through. Some days I wish I could go back, but I can't cause I ain't young no more. You don't feel my pain, step in my shoes. These times so hard, what we man, now life just began. Graduated with a couple friends. I finally got a job making ends. I'm still rapping, hope I make it big. Beside my mama, I got 2 daughters and a family that's big. And people steady call. Don't ask me how I'm doing unless money is involved. I'm searching for some answers to some problems you can't solve. Don't put my trust in man, catch my cares to the law. Cause money make us all change like the wind. And God give us power to get wealth, not men. And God listen to us when we really trust friends. Repentance is the only way to turn from sins. It depends if you really want to change. Cause ever since I did, people looking at me strange. Don't even get a chance to tell them about why I changed. I just put it in a song and hope they get what I'm saying. Some days I wish I could go back, but I can't cause I ain't young no more. You don't feel my pain, step in my shoes. These times so hard, what we go through. Some days I wish I could go back, but I can't cause I ain't young no more. You don't feel my pain, step in my shoes. These times so hard, what we go through.
It's ironic that you asked that because, believe it or not, man, there were some things I had totally forgotten. And it's like once I started brainstorming, this is how I brainstorm. I got my birth certificate. I narrowed it all the way down to the hour and minute that I was born. And from 76, then I went to 86. What happened between 1986 and 76? What happened between 86 and 96? And between those time frames, I would just jot them down. And it was some things I had forgotten, and there was some things that would anger me. But what I was doing was exercising what a lot of people in AA refer to as, looking back in your past and addressing those unresolved issues. There was some things that made me angry, there was some things that made me tear up, but, that's the reality. I mean, you got to count the cost when you're talking about taking on a mission. And I counted the cost, and I proceeded on with putting this book together. And I actually sold copies out of my trunk. And I was interacting with people, in the streets. And I was also corresponding with people through email and Facebook. Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, I sold copies of my book. And I had got copies printed up with Mac Royce, located in Dothan's West Side. But it was a lot of stuff I had to, dig up. But it was necessary, And it made me feel good when people can read the material and learn from it. I also got a documentary on YouTube, The Untold Story of Harry Sappho. And I speak briefly on this subject. And even then, people learn from it. So, it was some things that was touchy, but I had to deal with it. It dealt with me. I started making figures 7, 8, 9, but I actually started getting heavy in the artwork around kindergarten. And I was gaining exposure around the first grade. I can recall students coming to me and asking me to draw them pictures of animals from the jungles, snakes, tigers, elephants, Michael Jackson, Santa Claus. They would ask me to draw this, and I would. And over a period of time, I just started nurturing my art. And my dad is good at it. He can do the blueprints, the drafting, and all that. So it was somewhat hereditary, but it was something that I had to nurture as well. And when I was in prison for 12 and a half years straight, that was a real fun pastime for me. I fixed me a shot of coffee, mix it with some cocoa, kiss my bed. If I wasn't writing books, or doing something constructive, I'd be doing my artwork. But yeah, I've been drawing since about kindergarten. Yeah. Young, man. It frustrates you, and with me being considered, I shot a guy, true enough, but when you put in that category as a violent offender, a lot of times they don't see that, not necessarily the parole board, but the system in itself, they don't believe that you can be in a position when after you're released, where you can be of some benefit to society. But throughout my incarceration, I've seen numerous guys return back to prison, and me being within that, I said, it's crazy, because that boy that went in a few years back for a drug offense. This guy here was in for receiving stolen property. This guy here was in for writing bad checks. This guy here was in for multiple domestic violence or whatever. And over a period of time, I started seeing guys who was coming in with less secluded offenses, non-violent crime. They started coming back with violent crimes. So we who was already in there, we was catching, the heartache behind those who was now violent offenders. So they looked at all of us as violent offenders, and not taking into consideration that, the person keep coming back and forth to prison for non-violent offenses. They tend to have a tendency to get bolder, and they committed more serious offenses. But when I was denied 2 times, I felt entrapped. And like I said, by me being a violent offender, I said, I already know what it is. I mean, had I had an auto theft or receiving stolen property, maybe my results would have been, different. But then too, I played a role because I come in contact with DOC officials, and that played a role as well. But after being set off for twice, I started really believing that I was gonna die in there. And there would be times my family would want to come visit me. I don't want to visit. What I had to do was keep myself occupied. And then I had the mentality where I wanted to be able to live through my artwork and the short stories I was writing. So I started building up my artwork and my short stories, so in the event that I die, I would still exist through other material. That's how I saw it, because being set off for parole twice, it hits you. That's heavy, and that's what it was for me. This here is a piece, man, that I'm still currently working on in regards to the Trayvon Martin case. That case there really touched me, man. But you got people, with hoods on. You got a row of people here with red hoodies on. A row of people here with white hoodies on. You got another row of people with red hoodies on. You got another row with white hoods on. Another row with red hoods. And over here you got blue and white hoods. But the format of this represents the United States flag. And within this country, man, the reality is you still have some people who either don't understand, or they have a burning, fiery hate for African Americans, and they take things similar to like what we saw, whether we initiate it or not. Sometimes we still turn out to be victims. But you have a lot of people who have a bad, look, man, on us as African Americans, and that's why I, set it up in the American flag form and color, because this is what we've been going through even, when we was here. There was a time, man, when you had what was called the spook hunters. Spook hunters consisted of racist Caucasians who pursued African Americans, and a lot of our people were murdered, lynched, and it was swept under the rug, nothing done. A lot of bombings took place with our people, swept under the rug. And I'm gonna be honest with you, when I see the Trayvon Martin case, that's somewhat a modernized fix as to what's already, have happened before. An individual not necessarily connected with law enforcement, but just taking it upon himself to remove the existence of another African American man. I mean, racism exists in this country, and I say that because racism for some people is like a culture. And what I know about culture is stronger than life and death. And what I mean by that is you can have, let's say me for instance, I believe a certain way, I've adopted to a certain culture. I don't have any children. nice. Nah, straight up. One day I have a child, male or female. The culture that I once lived by, I passed that belief system on to my child. But let's say my child gets of age and dies. But my grandchild, which is my child's child, was taught that belief system by my child. So here you have an example of culture, man. Before my child was born, there was a culture set by me. When my child was born, it embraced the culture taught by me. And after my child's death, if my child decided to teach that culture to their child, and my child died, even after my child's death, that culture goes on. It goes on and on. So culture is stronger than life and death. And for some people, man, you know, that race thing, man, had become a culture. And I just felt that, you know, to do a piece like this. But I'm still active even after being out, you know, with my artwork. You know, I like doing things that surround social issues. I did one in regards to 9/11, which I'm currently in the position now trying to, I'm not seeking monetary gain. I just want to be able to get it in the hands of family members who have people either serving or who died, you know, in the war on terror, Afghanistan, Fallujah, and Iraq. So I still do my art, you know. Pretty much what I've said to everybody else. That is like, life is like riding a bicycle, man, or, you know, you ride a bicycle no matter how many streets you turn on. You know, that front tire is like choices, the back tire is like consequences. And no matter how many streets you ride down and you turn left, you turn right, that back tire gonna line back up with that front tire somewhere. And that's how choices and consequences are. The choices we make, they're gonna be lined up with consequences. So I mean, my message won't change. You know, I would tell juvenile that age the same thing I would tell, you know, anybody else that I've already talked to. What I do is I don't try to stage. You know, when I'm out here talking to people, I don't stage, you know. But I just keep it simple. That scare tactic, I don't believe in that. Because whatever you use to draw a person, you got to use that to keep a person. If you use fear to draw people into change, they got to stay fearful. They got to stay afraid. Because if that fear ever start to subside, it's a wrap. If it's love that you use to draw people, that love will keep them. If it's pain that causes people to be drawn to you or change, that's what's going to keep them. So I don't believe in that fear tactic, you know, trying to scare these youth out here into change. I don't believe that. But I would tell them just like I would, you know, anybody else I've already talked to.
Okay. Yeah, I used to want to be famous. Why? Cause in school I was treated like a stranger. Mom used to work all the time and it changed us. Living in the project with no one to restrain us. This life make me wonder what if I made it out the ghetto with a change. What if I had a lot of money, would I feel more gifted? Equal opportunity was there, so I took it. Nah, cause reality is set in. I'm headed down the road in society a dead end. Devil behind the wheel, but it's car I never get in. Searching to be a part, but somehow I never fit in. Yeah, cause I'm better out believing God and living right even when I'm up against the odds. It changed for the good, even better. Cause heaven is eternal when the burn if I could take it all back. Everything that I did as a man from a kid would have changed what I did. This life that we live in so sick. Trying to do the right thing for the sake of if I could take it all back. Everything that I did as a man from a kid would have changed what I did. This life that we live in so sick. Trying to do the right thing for the sake of these kids. Yeah, you don't know what I had to go through, bro. So I guess I gotta show proof. You can ask Brian. I was fortunate though. I graduated dedicated to crossing the road. On my mind was a lot of ones. So I did what I could just to get me some. Mama used to tell me drugs ain't the only way. Went to church one Sunday and I found faith. And I've been rapping for a while, getting good at it. And neighborhood friends ask me, am I still at it? They quick to tell me out of time. I'm about to tell you what it's really like. Some days ain't the same and I'm feeling like should I continue going on or get sleep at night? Sometimes I close my eyes and I vision light. I swear some people just ain't doing better. Wanna live off others when they got their stuff together. What about they family members who they taking care of? Never mind, you selfish and you just made it clearer. Take a moment and look at yourself in the mirror. If anybody's to blame, see your image clearer. Money, a lot of people swear that it's to blame, but it's the love for them dollars and that's just a shame. Pastor told me this is a strange world. Told me not to be blind to it, remain sterile. But I swear I'm still flirting, getting what I can get out of it and seeing this for certain. I know I'm not perfect and I should know better. I taught myself some rules and put them in gold letters. I know I shouldn't curse, fornicate and tell lies. That's why I'm on my knees and repenting, sorry God. I know I should be showing your people the right way and preach the gospel to them, so this is my only way. I know I got faith, I just gotta make a choice to get back on the right track and listen to your voice. I'm more focused than I ever been, and I'm so different I can't even have close friends. Where the heck Marvin Gaye went? What's going on? Some people can't even stay friends. Perception got some people fooled, but if I seen it, I guess I should feel the same too. And what about girls? I told you once before, she was just another girl. And if you seen her with me, that don't mean that we together. I'd rather be alone if you're thinking I'm a checker. I feel like I'm in a situation where it's jealous. I guess it's not meant to be. I'm better off, I tell you. God knows it's better. I guess I gotta leave. Ain't got nothing to prove. Ain't no tricks up my sleeve. I thought that we could be, but I guess not. And now you somebody I remember but forgot. I'm about to tell you what it's really like. Some days ain't the same and I'm feeling like should I continue going on or get sleep at night? Sometimes I close my eyes and I vision light.
Child sexual abuse has been reported up to 80,000 times a year, but the number of unreported instances is far greater because the children are afraid to tell anyone what has happened, and the legal procedure for battling an episode is difficult. Child sexual abuse can take place within the family by a parent, step-parent, sibling, or other relative, or outside the home, for example by a friend, neighbor, child care person, teacher, or a stranger. No child is psychologically prepared to cope with repeated sexual stimulation. Even a 2 or 3-year-old who could not know the sexual activity is wrong will develop problems resulting from the inability to cope with the overstimulation. If the child tries to break away from the sexual relationship, the abuse may threaten the child with violence or loss of love. When sexual abuse occurs within the family, the child may feel the anger, jealousy, or shame of other family members, or be afraid the family will break up if the secret is told. A child who is severe on prolonged sexual abuse usually develops low self-esteem, a feeling of worthlessness, and an abnormal or distorted view of sex. The child may become withdrawn and mistrustful of adults and can become suicidal. Some children who have been sexually abused have difficulty relating to others except on sexual terms. Some sexually abused children become child abusers or prostitutes, or have other serious problems when they reach adulthood. Often, there are no obvious external signs of child sexual abuse. Some signs can only be detected on physical exam by a physician. Child sexual abuse can make the child extremely fearful of telling, and only when a special effort has helped the child to feel safe can the child talk freely. If a child says that he or she has been molested, parents should try to remain calm and reassure the child that what happened was not their fault. Parents should seek a medical examination and a psychiatric consultation. In conclusion, all adults and adolescents need to know that child sexual abuse is a crime that often causes severe damage to children. That help is available for those who seek it, and that children can never consent to sexual activity. You really lose it, that's when you really find it. I told you, homie, let me tell you once more. Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure makes diamonds. Pressure makes diamonds. It's all in perfect timing. The way pressure makes diamonds. So much pressure, so much pressure. Keep pushing on me like the world give me pressure. But I live up like I'm holding up the world. I feel so strong. on a leash. Who became a beast from the true knowledge I feast? Cause with knowledge comes power. That's why I don't with shades. I wanna see what's ours. No more being afraid, but fear turn to brave. Cause we know what could've got us. The world against us, locked up in the pen. Around here, it's so easy to make it in, but so hard to get about it. And that's why I know pressure. I know pressure makes diamonds. I know pressure makes diamonds. I know pressure makes diamonds. That's why late at night I'm crying. Cause I know pressure makes diamonds. So strong. So much pressure. So much pressure. So much pressure. That if you don't move, it'll crush you.
Night after night, seems like I reach again.
That's what it was. No, that's what it is. Now